Welcome to the Hello Sunday podcast with me, Nikki Hayden. This is the podcast that discusses everything self-development, spirituality and sobriety. And it wouldn't be me without a little sprinkling of humour. Whether you are just starting out on your journey of self-development or have been exploring these topics for years, are completely alcohol-free or just curious about living a more sober lifestyle, this is the podcast for you. Each week, I'll be exploring topics in both solo episodes and with some amazing guest experts. So if you like what you hear, then please subscribe, rate and review. So with that said, let's dive into today's episode. Hello, welcome back if you are an OG around here to another episode of Hello Sunday. I hope that February has started well for you. I hope you're all having a really good month. It's been a busy one, I'm not going to lie. I have had quite a intense start to the year, some of which I'm going to go into actually today because it's relevant for today's episode. But it's been good, don't get me wrong, all really super positive, but just super intense. And it's felt like there hasn't been a huge amount of let up. It's felt quite kind of, I guess, just like succession of intense work and fitness stuff and family stuff. And yeah, I guess just not the way that I would normally start the year. And also actually feeding into what I was talking about a couple of weeks ago around not necessarily feeling like you're smashing your goals or like you're wanting to attack the year, and it all being super normal because of winter and the fact that we are cyclical beings and this is our fertile void and a time for planning and prepping and thinking, not a time for doing. I do need to be a little bit kinder to myself on that. And actually, from the messages I've received over the last few weeks, I think there's a few of you that could be a little bit kinder to yourselves about just the way you're feeling at the moment and maybe your energy and drive and motivation. And yeah, we're not actually meant to be doing and smashing life at the moment. So if you are still feeling like that, don't worry, brighter days are coming, spring is coming. But actually it does kind of link in with today's topic. And this is something that it also links in with the topic that I spoke about 2 weeks ago, which was protecting your energy. And a lot of the things I was saying about protecting your energy was to do with the people that you surround yourself with, whether that's by choice or otherwise, the impact that they have on you, the words that you hear and choose to use, your language, the situations that you put yourself in. And I've realised over the last few weeks more so than ever, well, actually maybe not more so than ever, but it's just been very apparent that actually the people that you surround yourself with and who you let into your inner circle and the people that you choose to have as your supporters in life and your front row, which was something that I actually heard this week and absolutely loved, is just so important. So we're going to dive into it. It's probably not going to be a super long episode today because there's not loads of like quotes and stats and experiments to talk about. This is really more, I guess, my lived experience from recent years and also this year, more recently with some of the people that I've started surrounding myself with now. But something that has come up quite a few times over the last few weeks from other people and conversations that I'm having and the messages that I'm receiving. And I think it really does, I guess it kind of highlights in these times when things are a little bit more slower and maybe people's mood is a little bit more just steady or potentially has the propensity to be a bit more negative. And we do tend to see maybe the worse or the more difficult or more negative side of people than we do when the sun is shining and we're all out having a nice time and the weekends are full of outdoor activities and barbecues and beer gardens and parties. So let's crack on and talk about the people that you surround yourself with and your inner circle and why that is so impactful. So there's a quite famous quote. Now, I know I just said we're not going to be talking about loads of quotes and stuff. This is actually the only one today, other than the one that I just mentioned about your front row. But there's a famous quote that says that you are the sum of the 5 people that you surround yourself with the most. So what that essentially means is if you surround yourself with 5 people that are moaning about their lives, sick of their jobs, overweight because they just eat crap and never exercise, it's, that kind of negative energy that brings you down. The likelihood is you're not going to be a sunny and positive and happy person, because their negative energy will eventually rub off on you and you will start to see things the way that they see things, and it becomes a bit of an echo chamber. So, when there was I'm trying to think of a big conspiracy theory, like the COVID vaccines stuff online, people were seeking out like-minded people to echo their sentiments and their beliefs and their opinions on things like that. The problem that you have is that the algorithm of life, of social media, will essentially show you more of that. They want you to use the platform more, and they will show you more of the stuff that you like and that you agree with. And that becomes then an echo chamber. So it means that you are only seeing opinions from people that agree with you and from people that live a similar lifestyle to you. And that can be quite dangerous, because we need to have a breadth of thinking. We need to have differing opinions. We need to be exposed to people that don't live the way that we do. And it's the same in life. It's that the algorithm of life, essentially, you will attract people that think and act and hold the same beliefs as you, or as the people that you have surrounded yourself with. So back in the days before social media, the sum of the 5 people that you surrounded yourself with was probably quite true. You probably had a couple of best friends, maybe family members, maybe a teacher or a mentor. Our circles weren't as broad and as wide as what they are today. So that was probably something that, give or take a couple in the number, was very true. But actually, now that we have such far reach in terms of social media and the internet and the jobs that we do, it's actually not the case that it's the top 5 people. Don't get me wrong. If you do surround yourself with people that are negative and draining and don't support you or are jealous, then yeah, of course, that's still going to happen. But actually, you can almost counteract that a little bit now with digital online groups, with your social media feed, with the people that you choose to listen to, podcasts, audiobooks. So actually, if your immediate, let's say, the family that you live with or your immediate work colleagues, although I will be honest, if you're surrounding yourself with really negative, draining work colleagues, then that's a situation that you're choosing. You can actually get another job. But with your family, for instance, if you're surrounded with people that are really good people at heart, but just very negative, very draining, they don't see things the way that you do, then you have a choice about the people that you surround yourself with the rest of the time. And that never used to be the case. Back in our parents' or grandparents' time, and when they were young, the people that they surrounded themselves with were literally their neighbours, their family, their school friends, and then when they finally went to work, their work colleagues. We've got so much more choice now about the people that we choose to have in our circles and choose to expose ourselves to. Not in that way. Don't expose yourself to anyone, but you know what I mean. So we have a choice. We really do have a choice. And I think for me, this has become so much more evident over the last year or so, when I have gone through things and you know, some really positive stuff, but still challenging nonetheless, and some not so positive stuff where the people that I've chosen to surround myself with have been the reason that I've got through that. They've been the reason that I've made the leap. They've been the reason that I've got through a tough time, that I have been able to remain positive and know that I'm supported and that I've got people to lean on. So it's so important that you get this right. It is so important that you make choices with this stuff that are going to support your growth, support your learning, and essentially support your success. So over the last few years, I have been through a divorce where there was infidelity involved, not on my part, I might add, and that was super tough. That was probably one of the most emotionally draining and character building challenges, times of my life that I've ever been through and probably will ever go through. I was quite naive, and the people that I surrounded myself with at that time were the only reason that I got through that time. They literally fed me. In fact, I remember being at work and one of my work colleagues literally splitting her lunch in two because I wasn't eating because I was full of anxiety, and she literally fed me half her lunch and she sat there. It took me like an hour and a half to eat half of this prawn salad. But that was support, that was true love, that was true friendship. And then I went through an emotionally abusive relationship a few years later, and I'm sure that there was people during that time, my friends, my family, that just wanted to shape me or just tell me to shut the fuck up and stop talking about it if I wasn't going to do anything to change my situation. But they didn't, you know, they gave me tough love, but they were there, they supported me. And then on to much more positive and happy times recently, launching my business. I probably wouldn't have taken the leap when I did if it wasn't for one of my really good friends, Lucy, who has run her own recruitment business for a number of years now, done it super successfully, and basically sat me down and said, you have to do this now. It's shit or get off the pot. You've been talking about it for ages and now you've got the opportunity to do it. And she supported me, and she still supports me every single day with voice notes, and we will like text each other, and we have sometimes head wobble moments where we need to just give each other a little bit of a pep talk. But that support, in not only a friendship sense but a professional and business sense, has been unwavering. And to have somebody that gets my industry, that gets the challenges, that understands the way things work and can really help and advise is just absolutely invaluable. Likewise, launching my podcast, it's really funny how sometimes the people in your inner circle are not your biggest supporters, or not necessarily not your biggest supporters, but they're not the ones that are going to listen to your podcast or read your book or do your online course. It's often people further afield than that end up being your biggest supporters. Don't get me wrong, some of my best friends and inner circle have been incredible, but you have to sometimes find people that are more aligned with that journey, that have been there, have done it. I've joined a podcasting group, an online group where people understand the technical aspects of podcasting and growing an audience, and they understand it, they've been there, they get the challenges. And again, I can't expect people in my inner circle that haven't done that or haven't walked that path to get that. So there's been some real ups and downs where I've had the support, where I've had the cheerleaders, those front row people that just don't ever leave my life, that don't ever not support me. Also, through those times and through those challenges, some people have dropped off. Some people didn't support or were quite negative. Friends that I thought were in my life forever, when my first husband cheated and left, when with him, you know, they kind of took his, not that the sides in this stuff, but they decided to spend more time with him, and you know, that's fine, but they're not for me. And likewise, people that I didn't even know when some of these journeys started have come through to be the people that have helped me get through or given me that platform, been a sounding board, given me that leg up. And without those people, it would have been really, really difficult to do. So when I launched my business, I joined a recruitment Facebook group. So it's business owners, people that have scaled businesses in recruitment, people that are in different countries, work in different sectors. And that's been invaluable. It's been really great. I also joined a WhatsApp group for recruiters, and I'll be honest, that's not been so great. It's great for the odd question that you want to ask or the odd piece of technical know-how or, stuff that other recruiters are using, platforms, tools, that sort of stuff. But actually what I've realised is it's quite bitchy and quite gossipy. And you know what? It's mainly the guys in the group, and it stems from a clear place of insecurity, a clear place of jealousy. They're often copy and post, screenshotting them and talking about people behind their backs, and it's just not a vibe. So I've archived that group because I don't want that energy in my life. I don't want to constantly have notifications from people that are operating at a low vibe and just not really building each other up or supporting each other. They might feel like they are because they've got that pack mentality of we're all in this together. But actually, what are they in together? It's just gossip and bitchiness. So I've kept the group because I do, like I say, sometimes lean on it for support and for things that other people within my life maybe wouldn't have the answers to because they're not in the same industry. But I've archived it because I don't need it to be visible all the time. I don't need that energy. And that's similar to friendships. You can still have people in your life that maybe you go on a mate date with a couple of times a year or once a month, or you will call or text or see each other at big occasions. But actually, they're not good energy. They're not positive. They're not high vibe, and they're not on the same journey as you. They're good people, but you've maybe fallen away from that friendship a little bit. And that's fine. And I think when you go into adulthood, people often think that you need to keep those friendships in your life that you've had for years, or those friendships that you've formed maybe more recently that have grown a little bit, but you maybe take a different path one year, or you maybe start thinking differently. And this isn't to say, you should cut people off, but sometimes you can just distance yourself or have people in your life where you know that there's a purpose for that friendship, but actually it doesn't support your business goals or your life ambitions. Now, the flip side of that is if you've got people that absolutely just don't cheer for you, if there are people who are quite overtly jealous or they're not clapping for you when you win, then I think that you do need to reevaluate those friendships, because even if somebody isn't on the same path as you or doesn't understand your path, they should be clapping for you if they know that it's important. A really good example of this actually is, so this year I've invested in 2 areas of my life. I've got 2 big goals. One is personal, and that is for fitness and health. So that's in my personal life. And one is professional, and that is the growth of the revenue within my business. So in order to support these goals, I thought at the beginning of the year, long and hard, like, what do I need to do and how do I need to get to this sort of place that I want to be come December 2024. So I've invested in a fitness coach and in a coaching and accountability support group for my business. And what these have both given me are 2 very different things, but actually it's just so incredible how much they've up-leveled my life and kept me consistent and accountable in both of those areas. Now, the people in the business coaching group aren't necessarily recruiters. For those of you that are regular listeners to the show, or maybe you know me personally, You won't have been able to get away without hearing me talk about Simprove. Simprove is a scientifically backed, water-based probiotic drink. You drink it daily and it has been scientifically proven to help with things like bloating, IBS symptoms, pain. It was actually a dietitian friend of mine that introduced it to me last year, and I honestly wouldn't be without it now. It's helped with my energy, with my bloating, it's helped with my immune system, and also things like my skin. The list is honestly endless. Now, I have got a code for you. So if you'd like to try Simprove, you can get 50%, that's a massive 50% off your first 3-month subscription by going on to simprove.com and putting in the code Nikki50. That's NIKKI50, or clicking the link in the show notes. All on the same path in that they are all business owners, they're all founders, but they're not all recruiters and they don't all understand fully my industry and the challenges and the goals and the nuances. But everybody cheers for each other. Everybody in that group is so supportive, making referrals, introductions, just knowing that the energy and the positivity that they put into support people can get them through really tough times, can get them through those days where maybe you do feel alone on the journey, or you are struggling, or things haven't gone to plan. And you can always rely on somebody in that group to pick you up, or to just give you a little bit of a pearl of wisdom, or just relate a little bit. So having that group in my life, and it's only been since January, but it's made a massive difference to how surrounded and supported I feel as a solitary business owner. You know, I do run my business on my own. I have people that I can rely on in terms of peers that have done it before, but I hadn't got a accountability group or a group of founders that were on the same journey. And having people that get it, it's honestly just completely changed my energy and my focus each day, because you just don't feel like it's just you doing this on your own. And then when I went sober last year, the difficult thing for me was that I come from a family, well, I've said this before on the podcast actually, it's not a family of drinkers. I've come from a family where alcohol has been around since I've been young, because my dad's a big drinker. My mum, not so much, but it's never been something that we've questioned. It's always just been around us. And as soon as we turned 18, we would go out, we would drink, like most people in the UK, I think, most young people. So having people in my life that understood my sober journey was quite difficult, because at that point, there wasn't that many people that were in the same place. There weren't that many people that were considering doing the same thing. It's really funny how since I have been exploring sobriety and having longer periods of sobriety, that more and more people have come out of the woodwork and said, actually, that's something that I want to do, or actually, that's something that I have been toying with the idea of, and you've inspired me or encouraged me to do it and to think of it. And I've actually got a really close friend who was going sober for different reasons of her own, but also we've been supporting each other, because it just so happened that it's kind of coincided towards the middle and end of last year that she's also gone sober. So that's been great. But when I first started doing it, there wasn't really anybody else that I knew that was doing it. So finding groups, finding support, finding people that got it was so important. So I think I've mentioned before the Flamingo AF Facebook group, and they are incredible. They do dry raves, they do ice water, cold water dips, they do runs, hikes, family events, all sober. And the encouragement and support on that group is amazing. It's not just fully sober people, it's people that are cutting down, people that are doing exploratory periods of 30 or 90 or 100 days, people that have had dependencies on alcohol. So it's a real mixed bag where everybody is non-judgmental, super supportive. And again, just having that support there from people that get it. You know, I can't expect, and neither can you, people in your life, or your partner, or your siblings, or your immediate family, or even your best friends, to understand every element of your life and every part of your journey. You might have an amazing best friend who has worked in the public sector their whole life and couldn't ever imagine launching a business. Doesn't mean that they can't be supportive, but you're probably not going to get business advice from them. You might have a friend who is really not into spirituality, would never judge you or make comments, but would never go to a yoga class or meditation with you because it's just not their thing. And that's a bit like my husband. You know, he will do breathing exercises with me and he'll talk about gratitude, but I don't think I'd ever get him on a meditation retreat, for instance. And that's absolutely fine. Like, it's totally fine, because as long as he supports me, I don't need him to be doing it as well. But I do need people in my life that will do that stuff. And for that, I do have really close friends and some of my family members that would come to those events and those retreats, etc. So I think it's just really important to know that you need to identify the people that are draining you, the people that are negative, the people that are not supporting you, and maybe reevaluate if you need those people in your life. And if you do, then it's a case of how often do you see them? How often do you let yourself be around that energy? And then in the areas where maybe you do need a bit of extra support or like-minded people, go out and find them. You don't just have to be face-to-face with people. You can be on groups. You can follow them on social media. Some of my biggest inspirations I've never met, but I follow them on social media and I feel like I know them because we've messaged or we've voice noted, and I watch their stories and their videos and vice versa. Equally, podcasts are a phenomenal way to not necessarily get support and cheerleading, but actually to just be in the energy of like-minded people with whatever area or subject it might be, whether that is business advice. I listen to podcasts on business advice from people in America that I'm never going to meet. They don't even know that I exist. But it gives me that structure and that process to work to from somebody that's been there and done it. And the sober groups, again, some of these people I've never met, I probably never will, but they know some of my most personal stories. They know some of my hardest times and challenges because they've also shared theirs with me. So I think it's just really about being super aware of who's in your life, who's in your inner circle, who is in your front row, who's clapping for you, and who maybe isn't, and do you need to reevaluate those relationships or connections. The more that you do this personal development work, the more that you will spot the negative energy, the more that you will spot the non-supporters and maybe the people whose energy doesn't bring you up or doesn't make you vibe. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to cut them out of your life, but I would just be careful about how much time you're spending with them or how much time you are in their energy, whether that is over text or voice note or phone call or even just watching their Instagram stories or their TikToks or following people on Facebook. You can unfriend and unfollow people without them knowing. You can mute them. And sometimes it's just better to do that and to have that really good supportive network around you that you are, I guess, digesting the content of and that you are consuming on a daily basis. So like I say, this really does tie in with the protecting your energy episode. There's a lot of crossover, but specifically your network should be supportive. It should be diverse. It should be people that you can turn to when there's challenge in certain areas of your life, and not the same person for everything. You need to have people that get where you are in your career or your business. You need to have people that will support you in your fitness journey, that will celebrate your hobbies and interests, people that understand and that really kind of vibe with what it is that you're trying to achieve. So I hope that's been useful or helpful. I am always around to be your biggest supporter. If you want to drop into my inbox, it is open as always. And a massive thank you to those that have supported this journey, this podcast so far. I've had some more reviews this week, and honestly, every time I receive one, every time I get a message to say that I've got one, it's just such a nice little buzz, because it just means that it's getting up the podcast charts. We are reaching more people, that there's support out there for it, and that there's people out there that are enjoying what I'm doing. So thank you, and more please. For those of you that haven't rated or reviewed yet, please go on and do that. And yeah, share on your socials. That's a big one as well. I've had some extra followers of the social media, the Instagram this week, from you guys sharing on your social media, on your stories. So yeah, tag Hello Sunday Pod. And I'm so grateful for you all, for every single one of you that listens. I am here to be your biggest supporter and your cheerleader. So send me things that you're doing. Send me your projects, your biggest wins. If you've got struggles, challenges, I want to hear them. I might be able to connect you with like-minded people. I had a friend actually, and I know a big fan of the podcast, messaged me this week saying that she felt really just anxious and down, and was struggling a bit. And so I'm going to put together a bit of a list of some other podcasts and some maybe audiobooks and resources for her, because it's so important that we share the knowledge and that we share things that we know are going to help people and bring people up. So if you are struggling, or if you just want some, pointing in the direction of resources or platforms for whatever it might be, then just drop me a message, and I look forward to hearing from you. So that's all for this week, and I hope you have a fantastic week ahead, and I can't wait to see you all again, I was going to say, but I can't wait to come into your ears again next Sunday. Thanks for listening. You can find us on Instagram at HelloSundayPod, or you can email us on hellosundaypod@outlook.com. Have a great week.